like we've been together for the last 12 hours.
It's been a roller coaster. And we are here. We left late last night at UBC behind the headlines, and now we are here in Kololo.
So, Honorable, I know I've asked you so many questions,
yes,
but something that bothered me with someone I saw,
yes,
the concern was the tax burden on a Ugandan.
Yes.
It is a concern because inflation has happened on food.
Yes.
They have to pay
yes,
and yet their income is not increasing.
Yes.
What should a Ugandan do, especially with this 72 trillion budget?
The Uganda Revenue Authority is expected to collect over 31 trillion shillings. And the only tax which has been increased is the taxes on fuel. 100 shillings on a liter of petrol and 100 shillings on a liter of diesel. The rest of other taxes remain the same. And the only unfortunate thing is that our tax base is very narrow. Last night, the Commissioner General of URA says we only have about, how many? 4 million taxpayers in their database. And majority of which are employees who actually have been bearing the burden of taxes in Uganda. So it's a big challenge for us. What government needs to do is to widen the tax base. Let more Ugandans come into the tax bracket and start paying taxes. And that is a hard one because you need to introduce things like people should start paying taxes on cattle.
Yes.
I had proposed it in the past. The wealthy people who have taken their money into cattle don't want to pay taxes. For us who have decided to put factories, we are paying. So if I put the same amount of money on the farm, rearing pigs, rearing sheep, rearing cattle, I would pay zero tax. So I think we need to be more realistic and we accept to pay taxes. The second one is the one on gold, on minerals.
Yes.
So there are areas, pocket of opportunities where we can make sure that we bring those areas into the tax bracket. Then I think we would be able to shoulder the challenge of tax burden on a very narrow base of the country.
Honorable, you're both an economist but a former banker.
Yes.
Debt. Is our debt sustainable? When we look at our debt burden now and also what we're going to bring on in this financial year, 8.9 trillion shillings domestically, 1.3
yes,
external financing, budget support they are dropping from
yes,
donor. Is our debt sustainable?
The debt won't be sustainable if we continue increasing our budget ceiling and continue borrowing without broadening the tax base, without bringing in the oil revenue. I can predict as night follows the day, it will come crumbling down. Because what we have done now is we are burdening Bank of Uganda. The moment our domestic refinancing matures, we will not have money in the treasury. So Bank of Uganda will literally print money and pay. So we have created a hole with the Bank of Uganda. Creating that hole means Bank of Uganda will have challenges in managing monetary policy and meeting their monetary policy targets of, say, inflation at 5%. So the moment you continue to print money and throw it in the public there, inflation is going to pick up. So it's a big challenge that our debts are increasing, our domestic revenue resources are increasing at a much lower pace than the way the debt is growing. So without quick interventions, like oil money coming through, like broadening a tax base to increase our domestic revenue, we are in big problem.
Honorable, my last question to you is, on the 20th, the president is going to meet the traders here.
Yes.
What advice would you give him, especially that the private sector is shrinking day by day?
I would advise the president that he should keep the increase. Increase, we must maintain it. It's not a tax. It's a system that causes transparency and make sure that those who have been hiding the tax, they pay. Secondly, we need to make sure that the interest and penalties that were put on the tax on the private sector are removed completely, so that we only pay the outstanding tax. Then the last one is, can we give them a moratorium? Let's give them the time. for which to pay these taxes in a more structured way. Yes, so that would be my advice.
Thank you very much, Honorable. I appreciate you. See you when we meet again behind the headlines. You have heard from Honorable Mara, especially the caution on what Ugandans should be doing. I want to be joined here by Honorable Ojara Mapenduzi and the Member of Parliament for People of Laibi Bandege there. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
The signature bow tie, as usual, looking elegant.
Thank you very much, sir.
It's been a minute, but when we look at the budget, you have been in the local, down in Gulu. How are the people responding to this budget down in Laibi and also in Gulu?
Well, there is anxiety generally because, as you know, this running financial year, which ends this month in June, the budget projection was 52 trillion. And I'm sure what has been realized is probably less than that. Maybe we will get the figures. But my own estimation is that probably would be about 48 trillion or something like that. Meaning, we will not be able to realize what we had projected. Now, looking at the coming financial year, 2024-25, Parliament approved a budget of 72 trillion. Now, you are moving from 52 trillion to 72. So there is anxiety. Ugandans want to hear how this is going to be achieved. But also there is the question of, debt burden. There is so much that the country has to pay in terms of what we have borrowed. Now, when you look at the 72 trillion, about 31 trillion is supposed to go towards servicing the debt. But again, we expected to borrow about 32 trillion. And so when you look at how much we are expected to borrow, removed from the 72 trillion, there is a lot of work in terms of generating the revenue required. So many people are expecting to listen and get the assurance of the president on one, how we are going to continue stabilizing the economy, but also two, how we are going to make sure we manage the debt, manage our borrowing, so we don't continue in that trend. But also the other thing is that the taxpayers are a little anxious because, you know, the debate that we have right now. So generally there is anxiety. And so how are we going to make sure the 72 trillion is actually realized? That's something we would want to attentively listen to.
I have been to Gulu, where you were a chairman for a while there. When I look at the infrastructure there, an impeccable job that you did with revolutionizing infrastructure. But also the business is booming because South Sudan is just there. The money put in for infrastructure, is it value for money? Will it be able to get the services closer to the people? What does that mean for infrastructure if you compare it to Gulu there?
Well, there is definitely value for money, and I commend the people who are down there working, you know, in Gulu and elsewhere. Just like I work with the team in Gulu, there is a lot of effort being made, but I think there is need to do much more. There is need to do much more. I think government has given a lot of attention, has really prioritized infrastructural development, and that is good, that is commendable, because that then has direct impact on the taxpayers. But there is need to do much more. There is need to try to trim down some of these wasteful expenditures, manage corruption, and make sure we put more energy on the things that impact directly on the citizens. Yes.
Will the Ugandan out there in Laibi, Bandege, will they be able to feel this budget in their pockets the way they feel the taxes come through to their pockets?
Well, there are definitely different ways of feeling the impact of this budget. One, you are aware that currently government is giving the PDM, which goes to almost $1 trillion, over $1 trillion. Now, this is money that goes to the parishes, goes to the wards, and these are monies that goes to the pockets of the citizens directly, the 1 million, per beneficiary. So that's one way, and that's commendable. The other thing is that there are funds that are disbursed to local governments, whether it's for putting water, whether it's for road, whether it's for health services, whether it's for school. The citizens get the impact that way. There are also roads that are being constructed. So there are many activities that government is implementing, and definitely that is how the citizens have to benefit. But we can still do much more. We can do better than what is being done. Yeah.
Honorable Mapenduzi, thank you very much. I always appreciate your time. So you have had even his experience all the way from Gulu, and I am now joined by another member of parliament. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon. Greetings from Busia municipality. I am Macho Joffrey.
Ndio. So let's get to Busia. When we look at this budget, and I know the business that happens at the border there. I know how the border has really struggled in some of these areas of export. Will the people of your municipality be able to feel 72 trillion shillings impact their lives?
Sure. First of all, I want to tell my people that I think we are beneficiaries of this budget because we are going to benefit from the road network in the Busia municipality. In this budget, we have almost 10 kilometers that has been spotted for us through the ministry. Then, in addition to that, I see a very big component of small and medium enterprises, and which benefits the cross-border traders who are doing small-scale businesses. And at the same time, I see some money concerning value addition, because we have been selling raw crops in Kenya. For this money of value addition, our people are going to make finished products to sell in Kenya. And at the same time, I also appreciate that I see a lot of money put in UDB, which will help our people into big infrastructure to tap the tourism of our people from Kenya